Rishi Sunak told reporters during a Thursday press conference that being honest he wouldn't have said the comments about Jimmy Savile and Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer which have caused government aides to abandon the Prime Minister. However, Parry believed Mr Sunak was plotting against Boris Johnson and believed Mr Johnson would have a face like thunder when he next saw Mr Sunak following the conference. Mr Parry then delivered an explosive rant against the Chancellor and branded him a snake who would not survive if Mr Johnson manages to move past the controversies surrounding him. Speaking on Jeremy Vine on 5, Mr Parry delivered an explosive monologue against the Chancellor as the panel discussed the comments made during PMQs. He said, "Rishi Sunak is a snake, okay, you know, I've never seen anything lower than a belly snake than Rishi Sunak at the moment. Has plotting, has actively on maneuvers as they call it, right? Those two words, being honest, what has trying to say is more honest than Boris Johnson. Okay, being honest with you but in fact, he tried to sell the Prime Minister down the river. If you look at the geography of Downing Street, 10 and 11 are next to each other, two separate doors but they are one massive office because it's Prime Minister and Chancellor of the Exchequer, they have to work together. Now, if I was Rishi Sunak and I've gone back to my office last night, I would have expected the Prime Minister to come out of his office with a face of thunder and attack him and say how dare you undermine me like that? That must be going on surely in Downing Street. Only one of those two can survive from this, if Boris survives, Rishi Sunak will not and because he's a snake, he deserves to perish." Mr Sunak delivered a press conference earlier this week addressing the energy price cap increase and the measures the government would be introducing to help the public with the burden. But attending journalists capitalized on the moment to ask Mr Sunak about Mr Johnson's leadership and the Jimmy Savile comments he made in Parliament. Mr Sunak said, with regard to the comments, "Being honest, I wouldn't have said it and I'm glad that the Prime Minister clarified what he meant." Mr Johnson accused Sir Keir Starmer, who was the former Director of Public Prosecutions, of having used his time prosecuting journalists and failing to prosecute Jimmy Savile as they came to blows during PMQs. The comments have caused huge controversy as ITV's political editor Robert Peston asked several ministers why the comment was relevant to the conversations and debates now. Sir Keir said the Conservative leader was debasing himself by going so low by repeating a ridiculous slur peddled by right-wing trolls in an effort to score political points. An inquiry led by Alison Levitt QC into Jimmy Savile's sexual abuses found local police and prosecutors had advised the CPS to not prosecute Jimmy Savile as they believed the claims against him were made up. While Sir Keir was exonerated by an inquiry that found he was not involved in the decision to prosecute Savile, he later apologised for the CPS's failure to do so. He said, "I would like to take the opportunity to apologise for the shortcomings in the part played by the CPS in these cases. These were errors of judgment by experienced and committed police officers and a prosecuting lawyer acting in good faith and attempting to apply the correct principles. That makes the findings of Ms. Levitt's report more profound and calls for a more robust response." One of Mr Johnson's closest allies in Downing Street, Munira Morza, resigned following the comments and demanded her former boss apologises for them. In her resignation letter, she wrote, "You are a better man than many of your detractors will ever understand, which is why it is so desperately sad that you let yourself down by making a scurrilous accusation against the leader of the opposition." 3 other aides also quit on Thursday including Chief of Staff Dan Rosenfield, Principal Private Secretary Martin Reynolds, and Director of Communications Jack Doyle.